Warning, this is a random episode. Some hypothetical topics asked and or discussed may not be suitable for all listeners. Viewer discretion is advised. Get out of here.
Well, speaking of fears,
Uh-huh.
would you rather
Mhm.
have your own nudes leaked online for everyone to see, or
Yes.
have to leak someone else's nudes?
Nope, I already answered this. Yes, I would
Yes.
rather my own especially
Okay.
for someone who trusts me.
Dang, okay. Is it just because you rather not do harm, or are you just really comfortable with your body? What's that? Why?
Well, here's the thing that a lot of people forget. Social media has an off switch. I'm sure there will be people insulting my body. I'm sure people will be defending my body and just say, hey, you, leave him alone. And I'm sure people will make up, he's trans. I'm not trans, but when idiots see scars on your torso, they just decide that they're going to be a transvestigator. Apparently this is a new thing the internet does. So I'm okay with that because I can shut that shit off.
Hello everyone, welcome to 1000 Crazy Questions, the podcast. I'm your currently sane host, Houston Pierce. This is a podcast where we have on at least one guest a week and ask some series of crazy would you rather questions. We get into the psyche of our guests, explore topics and questions that maybe should not have been explored.
Okay, let's get into the episode this week. This week we have with us an atypical video game player, YouTuber, and host of the Token Podcast. Please welcome the exotic Zax Pearson. Zach, if you want. Zach, crap, I said Zach. It's Zax. Dang
If it
it.
makes you feel any better, I have yet to hold it against someone who does that.
Off the gate, I was like, it's such a simple intro. How could I screw this up? But man, Zax, you want to introduce yourself to the listeners, so those who might not know you yet.
Good evening, thousand peoples. I am Zax Pearson, except no substitute batteries are included. And I am the host and sometimes administrator, if you will, of the Token Podcast. No, it has nothing to do with skin tones. It's a play on words relating to penny for your thoughts, which is something we like to get from our audience and sometimes our crew members, your thoughts on things, as well as reminding people that we do have that basis in a high comprehension and discussion amount of video games, but not all the time. And in the arcade, sometimes they don't give you quarters, sometimes they give you tokens. That's where it came from, despite what ignorant people like you to believe. Essentially, what we do on this show is we do a show within a show situation, or we do segment pieces that collectively make up Token Podcast. The short form one for you lacking attention span peoples, which is 90% of my audience, is the 2-cent dial. Again, play on words involving coins, where we critically think about or discuss faults or greatness that we feel has been undiscovered and underrated in the world of pop culture. Not too long ago, we did a hypothetical, what if we get a Hi-Fi Rush 2 for the gamer people out there? And also, we do reviews and we critically discuss what we did and don't like about them, but without as much yelling as Angry Joe. And no, that's not a jab at Angry Joe. In fact, I love him and I've been trying to work with him legitimately, but they have this long-standing issue of lack of email communication. So I genuinely do that, and I do enjoy it with my crew and whoever's interested in seeing the movie that we're going to talk about or discuss. And when we're not doing that, we do the more traditional podcast. But again, it's not one person talking into a void. We prefer to do our podcast relating to one or two subjects and then asking how we feel about them and just saying, here's what we're discussing for 30 minutes. Here's what we're discussing for 30 minutes. So for example, let's say you're on my show, 1001. I would say, okay, today's topic is, should they have released Captain America, the Winter Soldier movie in the state that they did, knowing that they had to do almost 4 different rewrites due to world events that they had no control over, or should they have pushed it back and make it switch places with Thunderbolts? And then after that, we get everyone's opinion. We go into the second one, something along the lines of, okay, going forward, now that Marvel, for the most part, has collectively gotten every single thing that they can possibly access under their wing, even if they don't own the rights, they got the licensing to utilize them in various projects. Do you think we have finally got to the point in time where we can start seeing teams actually come together without it being a crisis? How about a team TV show? Who would you like to see in a team TV show as far as Marvel related groups? And then it just fragments into seeing those differences of opinion. And no, we don't primarily just talk about Marvel. That's just one thing we do. Also, DC movies kind of sort of unilaterally, if they're not animated, they have this strong ability to suck. So that one was a bit of an echo chamber, and we realized quickly that we couldn't do it because, most people with common sense know that those movies have a tendency to not have the James Gunn effect. which is why I look forward to everything he's doing. But yeah, that's pretty much what we do in a nutshell. And sometimes we'll do something along the lines of interviewing inspirational people and great people. For those of you interested, I just got done with Somewhere in Montana's director, Matthew Draco. Yes, that is a very cool last name. And we got to talk about the artistry instead of just, hey, here's my new movie and here's when it's coming out. And those are the type of interviews I like to do. And for those people who are more on the novel and graphic novel inclined, I got Keith Williams, one of the people who not only first African Americans to win an Eisner Award, was actually an Eisner student and one of the first people to draw She-Hulk. And hopefully, if things go well coming up going forward, for the X-Men lovers out there, I may be able to book Bo DeMayo, the writer and the writer of X-Men 97, and Mr. Houston, the original director and one of the animators on the original version of X-Men, and Chris Claremont. So yeah, I do pop culture, but I don't stick to one note. I try to get any interesting people that I can, and I try to let them show me what made them and how they got to where they are instead of just trying to aimlessly promote something like on a talk show. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but those are very uniform. You don't get to know a person. You just get to know what they're working on.
Yeah. Oh yeah, nice. Telling people like what's upcoming. Out of everything that you do, what would you say is like your favorite thing to talk about? Whether it be Marvel or DC, or like if it's short form, if it's just riffing on a current thing in society. What's your favorite like topic to discuss?
Okay, well that's a two-layer question, so your viewers might like this. When you say my favorite topic to discuss on my channel, or you mean relating to entertainment in general, or both?
Mm. Yeah, that's a good peel back question. I'll say on your channel.
Okay, so for on my channel, it's a bit of a tie. I hate to say it, I really do, but it's a tie between 2 Cent Aisle, which is my short form look at, pop culture as a whole, or some faults something may have, or hey, here's something inspirational or underdog that I might need you to look into. And then it's the life stories. It is legitimate tie, even though they have completely different lengths and completely different, atmospheres and aesthetics to those shows.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this episode I think is going to challenge you in some ways that you're used to, and hopefully some ways that you're not.
Which is why I'm here.
And on that note, I want to say, let's go, audience, real quick. Here are the rules to the game. There are 2 rules to this game/conversation. Rule number 1, you must always answer the question no matter what. If you honestly have no preference towards one or the other, you say the phrase, flip a coin, and we move on. Rule number 2, whoever asks the question doesn't have to answer it if they choose not to. These rules exist because as questions become harder to answer, these rules become harder to follow. This week, we have a Red episode, so the topics discussed and questions asked may not be family friendly. If you want a friendlier episode, go check out the Blue Band episodes. They're labeled in the description. They're just as insightful, funny, and stupid and encouraging as this one. I promise you. Just so probably a little bit less raunchy, possibly, and with a little less cursing. But otherwise, stay right here and listen to this episode. Zach, just want to remind you, if you have any different questions for me, you're never interrupting. We go back and forth. This is a conversational podcast. And quick but important disclaimer to the listeners. Everything we mention is hypothetical for like discussion purposes. If you are offended by this episode, sorry. You have chosen to listen to this at your own peril. You can at me if you have any issues. I may or may not answer. I don't know. Depends on how I feel. And lastly, before we begin, Zach, is there anything you'd like to ask or declare? Are there any inherent judgmental biases you may have?
Despite the ignorance of the right-wing GOP political system in the United States of America, I want to make something extremely clear. Hating Trump does not relate to your political stance. You can just hate that fat pumpkin and chief fuckboy just because he's a terrible human being.
Okay, I was gonna say PSA message received, but I guess it is kind of public safety announcement.
Yeah, I fucking hate that people think it relates to politics. No, what if I just hate somebody because they're a dick?
I think that's why a lot of people hate him. But
thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure people who voted for him. I think actually no, I take that back. I know people who voted for him who don't like him. So yeah, no, you can do both. It's possible, especially as it keeps going. Yeah, that's something to put up front. Thank you for disclaiming, man. Question number 1: Would you rather be Iron Man or be Batman?
Oh, that's an easy one for me. I'd rather be Iron Man.
Okay, you want to explain why a little bit?
Because Iron Man, although he is an arrogant prick and literally everyone would love to see his ego taken down a Kanye sized peg, he has friends, he has allies, he's not embarrassed or insecure about teaming up with them. And most of his quote unquote true people that he sees more than anybody are superhumans. So that you know what that means? If he retires, he ain't got to worry about somebody coming after him. Oh yeah, and he actually spends his money on things besides being Iron Man.
That last bit I agree with, but the first part, Batman has friends. He
No,
has a
I know it's
family. He
just
has a family.
I know
He,
he just doesn't respect them like he claims he does. I read Batman, so I know.
he respects his he likes Robin. He respects Alfred more or less, and depending on what you're reading, but he respects Alfred. There's Batwoman. There's Nightwing.
I know
There's
about him.
yeah. Just saying that's like his inner circle right there. And Superman is his best pal. Like he just is. He's like a phone call away. So Batman has friends. He's maybe the moody emo of the group. But come on, you can't say he
And
doesn't
that's
have.
my
You can't
problem.
say he doesn't have friends. You can't.
The moody emo has a tolerance limit built in. We talking if they were real people. At some
Mm.
point in time, Superman's going to say, "You know what? Fuck it, Bruce. I'm done." At some point in time, Wonder Woman can say, well, "Luckily, your level of bitterness isn't going to make it into eons into the future. Fuck it, I'm out." Now, but with Iron Man, that ain't happening.
I guess so. Yeah, Iron Man's human. Well, I guess Batman's human too, but Iron Man seems more human.
Yes.
Batman's like he's unrelatable in a
They almost don't ever even use Bruce Wayne as a whole ass character unless Batman is in a damaged state. And even then, he's still Batman, quote unquote. He's even wearing bat pants, but he just has a scar or a bruise somewhere on his torso that they can never keep straight, but they always want to damage and show that he's a man. That is the weirdest thing to me. He somehow gets ab reconstruction surgery every single year. He will get shot, stabbed, don't matter, broken bone fractures. Nope. 2 comics later, oh, his chest is pristine.
yeah, he's not human. I mean, they say he is, but he's very much not. I mean, you can
Yeah, like
dodge
I
dark
can't
side
take him
lasers.
seriously.
You're not human. I mean, I
Do
love
you one
Batman.
better? The meta genetic crap that's supposed to make every meta a meta. Yeah, his body and DNA is filled with an overabundance. However, it is an inactive gene. They just literally just can't say we want him to be human. They have to find a way to make him superhuman. But then they don't make him superhuman. Or when he is superhuman, it's temporary. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm Iron Man all day at that point. And I don't even really respect Iron Man as a person.
I love Iron Man. I love Batman. Batman's my second favorite character because they can't they make him inhuman. He loses his appeal. He's what makes him cool is that he's human amongst all these superhumans doing all these superhuman stuff. But that's all it requires in this cheesiness we're talking about with how could he
Yeah, and that's
possibly
where I
live?
get
Yeah.
conflicted. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
because he's
Yeah.
supposed to be the human representative of the superhumans,
Yeah.
but then they keep giving him things or resetting him in such a way, not with the story, but with just not paying attention to what's happening to him. When have you ever seen him actually deal with an actual physical pain issue from a past trauma from a fight that wasn't meant to just be in that one story? Never.
Maybe his back being broken by Bane. That was a big
Yeah,
one. But
yeah,
that's
and
like
even then he just talks about it. He doesn't actually suffer from any lasting effects. Oh, and all that jumping he does, and he can kick through a brick wall. I was like, okay, well, when that knee surgery coming, homie, I know you can afford it, but at least show me the knee surgery, bruh. He can't go to the doctor because anybody might be in danger. Reveals it. Well, conveniently, Alfred has a doctoral degree. I was like, okay, but he ain't been a proper surgeon in years. Shouldn't somebody be looking at those? Nope, he'll be fine. Don't worry, these abs, they'll still be bulletproof and Superman proof, even though he just had his whole chest caved in. I'm just like, look, he's either human or he's superhuman, but don't try to sell me on his ability to frighten all these other superhumans he's around. Someone even made a whole entire story where Superman came from a different dimension. He said, listen, Bruce, I know you are powerful, and I know you think you can do all these things. Trust me, I know you. You're just like my Bruce. But let me remind you of something. And he bitch slaps him so hard, he fractures half his face and just tells him, you're just a man. That is one of the only times I've ever seen Batman get humbled in a DC story, period. That's one of the only times. Not getting his ass beat, but being psychologically humbled.
that's so jacked up. I never read that. I mean, it was funny. And one half of me is like, "Oh, that's great," because that's what he deserves. But the other half, he's like, "No, why would Superman do that?"
Because he's an arrogant prick. He thinks he can fuck up anybody, and it's okay to think about hurting your friends. But our Superman is written to accept this, even though he shouldn't. Whereas any normal person knows that's fucked up. Listen, I don't know you, but if you and me became friends, and I meet most of your close friend group, and I start plotting ways to potentially murder them or keep them incarcerated at my discretion, you know there's a fucking problem, and we gonna have some issues. Batman, nope. He's just allowed to do it.
Man, it's be 2 words. No, 3 words. Because he's Batman.
Yes, and don't get me wrong, that is very funny, but also when you sit down and think about it, as someone who studies writing in the literal sense, you realize just how arrogant that comes off.
That's how he has to be. I think for him to make sense, for him to do his job, yeah, that's how he has to be almost. I mean,
yeah, like
me and you could write him differently. Me and you could write him differently. You know, if we both took a crack at it. But with how many people take on this character, it comes.
Yeah, like, I get it, and
yeah.
Batman has to win sometime. Batman has to lose sometime. I'm okay with that. My problem is there's never an after effect. There's never an aftermath, unless they want to make a new character, and even then, that doesn't count. I'm talking about where is the physical damage from you getting bitch slapped by Darkseid one good time and going through a whole ass wall? Why is it there's no talk of, listen, Bruce, you need to calm down and slow down and heal up. You got bitch slapped through a wall by Darkseid. Your spine cannot handle you swinging on these ropes. Nope. Just nothing.
No, death is the answer you're looking for. Why isn't he dead? Is the
yes. Well, I mean, yes, but I mean, like, why isn't there something that lets us know he's not so much aging, but he's actually taking damage? I like how people think Wolverine has a healing factor. That's why he can get away with all this shit. I was like, well, Batman has one too. It's just off screen.
Well, I think that's well said, actually. But yeah. Speaking of just magically healing from stuff, what would you say, in your opinion, would be the worst anime to live in? Like if you had to live in that world.
It was called Phoenix Everlasting or something like that. It was something with the word Phoenix in it. Okay. It sucked. And not only did it suck, but it sucked because it had horrendous writing. But the whole entire background to that was literally one of the worst things that can happen to humanity. But it also feels so accurate and plausible.
Can you give us like a breakdown, quick summary of what?
Yes, I can. I've debated making a whole entire episode about this for years. So this Phoenix show, which is made by, I think it was Isamu Tezuka, it was like some one-of story, or it was just something made by the old school art style around the time of like, Astro Boy and stuff. So the human race basically got divided up and lived in 2 different places because every other place essentially went to war and got destroyed and made most of the planet damn near uninhabitable for one specific reason. An alien race came down that could turn into whatever human being you wanted it to be. And it was called a moopy. I'm not even joking. It was called a moopy. This moopy thing, this amorphous blob, once it took a form of a human, would basically conform to your ideals. So literally, it's a living fuck doll. But the show is not about sex. The problem is human beings are not capable of breeding with this thing or this being. So the more of these beings that are out there, the more humanity ends up dying to the point where they started declaring it against the law to not even procreate, but be in a relationship with these moopies. I'm not even fucking with you, man. And then eventually somebody finds out that there is one guy running around with a moopy in one of these domed cities where there's only 2 domed cities left in the entirety of humanity because nuclear winters happen or some shit, blah, blah, blah. And then the whole story is about trying to kill off that moopy before someone else in the opposite dome decides we need to send a missile over there because if they have a moopy, it can come over here and it can destroy all of us. And they end up doing it. So this one guy lives through the whole entire thing, but for some reason, this regular human being who had been trying to engineer with moopy-like DNA, a human being moopy hybrid, but they can't ever live outside of the gel container that they're born into. Yeah, this one guy lives through this whole entire story. And for some reason, he just is immortal. No explanation. He's supposed to be a normal human. So he goes onto a roof and he just sees the entirety of time reset itself. So he sees, for no reason, all the end of the story, well, the meteors are hitting the dinosaurs. Oh my God, everything's going back. I understand reality now. Everything goes in a loop. The end. It was so fucking horrible and it was so funny. I wish I was lying about it.
I'm so confused. Wait, were the movies dangerous to people, or they?
No, yeah, they are. But if you try to be with one, humanity essentially has fucked literally is fucking its own existential threat.
That's so, huh? So okay, I'm trying to get the overall conflict of this story is that there are
Mm-hmm.
beings that we can't reproduce with that are
Yeah.
taking up the planet, so they become a threat because they're people that can't reproduce, essentially. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the threat. And this guy sees time fast forward for some reason.
Yeah,
Huh?
and there's literally no explanation why he can see time fast forward. He just was supposed to be a normal human, and then all of a sudden, boom, this shit happens to him.
Yeah, that sounds stupid. That sounds like anime shenanigans. Honestly, that just sounds stupid. Yeah,
Bruh,
yeah.
you couldn't have said it better yourself.
That just sounds. It's not. Have you seen the show A Coolie Foolie? It's like
Fooly Cooly?
Foolie Coolie. Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Okay, that one is a little bit harder to understand, but at least there's an explanation for it. But yes, I've seen Fooly Cooly.
that's what you were describing reminds me of in terms of just what the fness. But like, I actually like that show. It's actually okay. It's all like a giant, or I think I had to look this up to figure it out. But like, it's like a giant metaphor for puberty and growing up. There's
Yeah,
some
that's
things
exactly
that
what
don't,
it is.
yeah, there's some things that don't exactly fit with that message, but like, okay, I can see that. And then, and honestly, everything else that happens in the story with aliens and whatever, it's kind of like, okay, I guess so. It doesn't make sense, but it makes sense for the message they're going for. It's all a metaphor. What you're saying, I can't think of one. I don't know. Like, it just sounds like that it's people being scared. It's population control or something. I think maybe that's the existential threat. Is like, because I
No,
know,
the existential
uh,
threat is extermination by lack of interest in the species' lack of interest in itself.
I would say that actually kind of hits home for South Korea in a way. They have like a big population issue going on where they're not having a lot
I
of
think you mean
kids.
Japan. Or wait, actually, I think it stretches
Well,
South Korea too.
It's
But
it's
yeah,
maybe Japan too. I know South Korea though has an issue where like in a couple
I,
generations they're gonna be a population of old people and their economy's gonna pretty much
well,
essentially
if it's
break
happening in
down.
South Korea, it's new to me. But I can tell you for a fact, I know that that's a problem in Japan.
Hmm. Dang. Well, maybe that's it. Maybe it's an allegory for that. But then again, they're not having fresh, new, young people, quote unquote, of these Morby people, movies. That's a dumb name.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
there's none of that. It's more of an economical value thing. So whatever. Yeah, I digress. By the way, to answer this question real quick, I would say Attack on Titan. I would hate to live in that world. Real quick, that's what I'll say.
Eh,
I would hate to live there.
just put me before just let me die before Titans happen, or let me die after Titans happen.
If you were alive during the events of the show,
Oh, well, if I'm during the events of the show, here's exactly what I'm gonna do. The only safe thing you can fucking do is literally have a deep hole that you dig, make sure there's air pockets, and live in that fucking hole. But you gotta have some support beams and shit in that hole because that's the only way you're gonna survive shit.
dude,
You live in that hole.
I don't trust that home, man. They're gonna get a baby giant to come down and start digging where they saw you and like just start drooling at that hole, or God forbid one of the bigger ones punch their fist down in that hole and start just grabbing like a box of candy. Like
Would you
that's
rather be buried
oof.
under dirt or would you rather be chewed to death?
No, but the problem is like they could take me at that hole. I could still be chewed to death. They're smart or they're stupid, and if they see something, you know that show. They just go in. I'd rather be
Yeah, like
buried.
bro, it is. I would fucking
I'd
that
rather
shit.
I'd rather be buried. But I'm saying they can get me, and I may not die before before they get me. That's what this show terrifies me. Is what I'm trying to say. All this to say that show absolutely terrifies me.
I think it's just called Phoenix by Osamu Tezuka. Osamu Tezuka's Phoenix. Yeah, it is. Oh God, it is so bad.
Phoenix. Noted. Man. Okay. Well, speaking of fears,
Uh
would you rather
huh.
have your own nudes leaked online for everyone to see, or
Yes.
have to leak someone else's nudes?
Nope. I already answered this. Yes, I would rather
Yes.
my own shit, especially if
Okay.
it's someone who trusts me.
Dang. Okay. Is it just because you rather not do harm, or are you just really comfortable with your body? What's that? Why?
Well, here's the thing that a lot of people forget: social media has an off switch. I'm sure
Mm.
there will be people insulting my body. I'm sure people will be defending my body and just saying, hey, fuck you, leave him alone. And I'm sure people will make up, he's trans. I'm not trans, but when idiots
What?
see scars on your torso, they just decide that they're going to be a transvestigator. Apparently, this is a new thing
Mm.
the internet does as of 4 or 5 years ago. So I've had a lot of transvestigation accusations just based on literal ignorance and not understanding. You can be hit by a car without being in a car. So I'm okay with that because I can shut that shit off. And also, what is it, the United Kingdom and I believe also America introduced the right to forget, which means that if you have some like extremely traumatic experience that is solely on the internet and does nothing but hurt you, not bullying, but like legitimately someone exposed or revealed some traumatic event, after a certain amount of time, it can be removed legally speaking, or you can ask it to be taken down legally speaking. Now, don't get me wrong, that obviously ain't gonna work too long unless you're in the United Kingdom. But the social media has an off switch.
Hmm.
That's why.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I didn't know there was a right to forget. I know there's like sites like
Well,
Mind.com and everything that you can get your
United
privacy
Kingdom,
back.
yeah, United Kingdom does it, but I don't know how far we got with America. But
Mm.
some places do allow certain caveats based on what state you might be in, like the Revenge Porn Act. Not all states cover it, but I believe my state does.
Mm. Is that just like where if someone that I don't want to say classic because that's kind of messed up, but that scenario where a girl breaks up with a guy and he posts their sex tapes online, like that's made for that. Is
or
what
or vice versa. It could
yeah,
happen
yeah,
to
of
anybody,
course.
but yes,
Yeah.
that's what it is. And but also, I will say, not everything is perfect because people get their data hacked and stolen and shit. That video could be leaked without you actually giving someone consent or permission, or it could have just been stolen. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's the main reason. I'm glad it exists, and I'm glad my state observes that law, but it needs to be on a federal level, as far as I'm concerned.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah. I didn't even think of it like that, but that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, and honestly, I don't know which one I pick. I guess I'd have to agree with you because I couldn't do it to someone. I couldn't leak someone else's thing like that. It's just, yeah, even in the context of this question where I'm made to do it, where I have to, or something else bad happens, I guess I'd rather it be me. Yeah, yeah, I'm not even big on social media anyway. If it weren't for my podcasting and reviews and whatever, I wouldn't even bother, honestly. Yeah, things are kind of crazy toxic. So, yeah, and everyone puts on I'm sure everyone's complained about this before, but everyone puts on a persona, the profile pictures, everyone, no, none of it's kind of real.
Yeah, and
You kind of
then
have to meet someone
stupid
in
people
life.
are
Yeah.
actually powerful here, whereas normally you could walk away from a stupid person and just laugh, and no matter how mad they are that they're stupid, they got two choices: learn why people think they're stupid or are stupid, or alternatively, they can keep being in a ball of ignorance. But you can't do that with the internet because now there's money in ignorance, there's money in stupid, there's attention in stupid, and that's why I try to keep a healthy relationship with it. I got friends who I know do not believe in the taking of someone's civil rights. Everyone who is based on their sexual preference shouldn't have to worry about anything unless you're a damn pedophile. And at the same time, without knowing it, they're platforming or they're subscribed to hate channels. And I know they don't know it, just because stupid people are almost as easily manipulated as people who want to hate. So you could be the nicest person ever, but if you're stupid, you're going to go and, possibly support gays against groomers. Now, on paper, wait a minute, that name doesn't sound like there's a problem there. I know I can see your eyebrows doing the same thing. Here's the problem: Southern Poverty Lawsuit, for example, a law center. The hate group archival with 100% accuracy labeled them a hate group years ago. And it was a very simple reason: because they actually went and looked at what they do. They're not trying to catch or to hunt down any form of or expose any form of, people do salacious shit to children. They're literally trying to make the world perceive trans people as some form of a threat, existential threat, as well as child predators. Literally, they make marketing promotional stuff and they even pay people to drive trucks that imply trans people like pedophiles to trans events. They literally do that. And then on top of it, so instead of trying to, change their ways, They doubled down. They just went and made a group called Trans Against Groomers. I'm like, idiots. If you guys run it, you tell people you run it, you're not actually being smart about this shit. If you're going to be hateful, the smart thing to do would be to try to hide the hate, but you didn't try to hide the hate. You just tried to change the label. Don't get me wrong, though. You know that's going to catch some people, because if you say you're gay and you're against groomers, or you're not gay but you're against groomers, you're automatically going to think, okay, we on the same team. Nope. You have to do background check. And luckily, thank God for, and this is coming from an atheist, thank God from Southern Poverty Law Center. Because if they did not exist, shit would be bad. It would be far worse than what it is right now.
Dang, man. Yeah, that sounds bad. That sounds awful. I mean, I
Yeah,
agree. It's. I mean, I don't know the law center you're referencing, but yeah, I agree with what you're saying.
yeah,
Yeah,
and because of that, and because we, unfortunately, we're one of the only countries where your education is divided, not based on where you're from and are there a lot of children. They're based on state borders. Courtesy of the 10th Amendment, I won't bore you with the technical shit. But if you're ever wondering why the federal level does not intervene and fix basic education, it's because we left it up to the states. So if a state is blood red, people gonna get dumb. But Zex, there's so many big institutions and filled with smart people. Like, okay, well, first off, tax write-offs. Let's not forget that. Secondly, tax havens. And my personal favorite one that a lot of people forget, the state is in control of the education. So if you found a place that isn't run by the state that is doing extremely well, they do not preach or sell hate, they're not filled with ignorance or religion, which are not the same things despite what people want to claim sometimes. You have to remember one very important thing. That means it's probably an institution run by someone who knows how bad the system is. Marva Collins, if you've ever heard that name, a legendary teacher for minorities, which, mind you, I've met her and was one of her students. Marva Collins doesn't exist because people were getting proper education universally based on their skin tone. It exists because people weren't getting proper education based on their skin tones or what state they may be from, or if the entire system, even in a blue state, was run by people who have ignorance and racism in their heart. As Tim Wise would tell you, a very popular person who exposes educational racism, Tim Wise will be the first to tell you, listen, just because you're okay, the area you're in is okay, doesn't mean that the entire education system that your child has been put into on the public level isn't run by ignorant people. My mom is still disgusted by going to class in a grade school and being told they have to do a report defending and condoning why slavery was okay to do for a nation. And this wasn't even like a one-time thing. This was something done nationwide. She didn't choose this topic, obviously. I can't hear you.
no, I wasn't. Sorry, no, my mind was just spiraling after that
Yep.
last sentence. What the fuck did you say? What is
Yeah.
that?
That was a real thing. They would have debate tournaments or debate class, and you couldn't pick. You had to just be on the side. And somehow, a lot of minority children had to be on the side where they had to do reports that defended and condoned racism.
I mean,
Whereas it was so blatantly obvious.
okay. Let me. I guess if you're in, let me try to think about this. I
Grade
guess
school.
if you're in a lodge, if you're in high school, and if you're on a debate team, and this is an assignment, and you can
Mhm.
choose to opt in to opt out of this because that's a good. Being good at debating is debating something that you don't agree with that what you know is wrong. So I would say this would have to be like a voluntary high school level thing to introduce to children. That's not a grade school thing. You don't give that to
Bro,
I wouldn't give that to a
see,
middle schooler. Dog,
listen, you got to
that's
remember,
too deep. That's too
bro,
awful.
you have to remember, doesn't matter how many, we'll say, less racist or noble, decent human being presidents we have. If your governor, your city, the mayor in your village, your township, whatever, is basically raised on clan logic and raised on neo-Nazi logic. Okay, it doesn't matter because they will always try to influence people to help them. I think, what was it? Someone did a report that almost the entirety of the Latin-based descent people in Arizona, almost all of them voted for Trump. And one of the favorite things they like to say, they're like broken records on repeat with a parrot. Oh, he's just going to get rid of the bad ones. No, you fucking idiot. Because to him and his constituents, all the ones are the bad ones. If I
It's
can't
called
jail you,
racism. Yeah,
yes,
it's what we're facing now. At the time, sorry to jump in, man. Like
no, it's fine.
at the time of this recording, what that man who just deported to El Salvador is still like he's not back. I hope he's alive by the time of this comes out. We don't even know.
Damn.
We don't know how he's doing, man. He's
Yeah,
like
and
he
there's two
can't.
of them, and he's just the one that we can find. So what does that tell you?
Yeah. See, it's a scary thing. It's a very scary thing. Okay. To deep dive on this, by the way, what do you
Mhm.
think? What does our society value most, would you say? And how does that show itself in our leaders and representatives?
Okay, now this one, not a layered question, but I want to make sure I got the ground rules done. When you say our society, do you mean the USA or do you mean humans?
Let's start with the USA. We can go to humans later, but we're in the US, so
Unfortunately, we value passive aggressive narcissism and self-interest. That's very unfortunate. Statistically
hmm.
speaking, that is our one of our highest values. And it is legitimately disgusting and disturbing, but you can't convince those people that it's just that, because as far as they're concerned, you're basically telling them you're a bad human. How many bad humans do you know actually acknowledge or even give a shit that they're bad humans if you tell them that straight to their face? Not, I feel like you're a terrible person. No, you are legitimately a terrible person.
I mean, yeah, no one, at least not the leaders I'm thinking of, by the way. When you say people, I'm thinking of like representatives, like,
Oh, I
someone
know,
who's
but
like
I'm thinking about
yeah,
everyone's. I'm talking about societal statistic majority.
okay.
No one has truly calculated, but it is a common stereotype and is well known that American or United States of America narcissism and self aggrandizing and selfishness is stereotypically common. I can go to almost any country ever, and if they find out I'm American, they will either expect me to sometimes be dramatically obese or be surprised that I'm not dramatically obese, or possibly be an arrogant piece of shit without even approaching me or hearing me speak.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a bad reputation. I've gotten that too. Or just be like stupid and just be ignorant.
Oh, well, no, I mean, that's
Yeah.
kind of accurate though, but yeah.
Yeah. I hate that too, because it's like we can't I don't know. I went to Spain for a minute and everyone spoke at least like two languages. At
Yeah, they
least.
teach them in grade
And
school.
I mean, like, it makes sense, honestly, like geologically, because of where they're based. They're around so many different other languages and cultures. It makes sense to learn more than one.
Yeah,
But
but we
in
are too.
America's huge. I mean, we should learn Spanish. A lot of us do know Spanish, but that's the only one I kind of learned a little bit. But it's we don't value the public school system didn't value foreign language that much. It wasn't
Of
pushed on
course it
us
doesn't, because
that
how does that
much.
benefit an ignorant racist to teach them the language
Well,
of the people that they hate?
well, yeah, it. I don't know. I think it comes down to a bit of human nature, though, and a bit of societal like norms. I think Americans very much like focus on negatives. Like when you do something wrong or you do something right, usually we focus on the wrong first of who's at fault more than we're like who is right and what can this person do better. I think Americans
Exactly.
this is a people issue, but I think Americans do
Yes,
this
it
a
is.
lot. I think, yeah, everyone does this, but I think Americans, we really do this with, we focus on who's at fault, and it's groomed us, maybe, subconsciously all, because everyone's different, into being like, I can't admit fault because it means I'm bad. No, admitting fault means that you're human and that you can learn from it. Everyone can be
Yeah, I've
wrong.
had people, I totally agree. Like, I've had people who, like, they have their issues, everyone does, but generally speaking, they're not technically terrible people, but they have the worst reputations because they will say things like, I hate apologizing, like I get sick to my stomach, or they always want to make something someone else's fault because they know they're wrong, even if no one is chastising them. Or they think that if you ask for an apology, that person is an asshole. Like, no, you were doing something that you know was wrong to them or being an asshole to them. Them asking for an apology, first off, they shouldn't have to ask you. Okay. You saying that because they ask you makes you feel weak and they're an asshole for making you feel weak. Do you not hear how that's an issue? Do you not hear that that's not a healthy mindset to have? But no, they don't, because no one tells them that that's terrible, or they just think that, oh, well, everyone else is like this. It's like, no, they're not.
Yeah. I mean, that speaks on the person, I think. Yeah. Would you say our leaders and representatives kind of reflect this?
I would say
Some,
they should not be grouped together, which I know is ironic. So here's three things that I've always hated that I learned a lot faster than a lot of older people. One of the first things I learned about any form of the federal system. Number one, there will always be someone who wants to do the right thing and they think they're in a position to try to do the right thing. That sounds noble until you get to part two. Part number two, the people who want to do the right thing still have to go through the ignorant, self-serving jackasses or people who just love money. And then the third thing I learned, the only way to get any type of effectual change, now this is a shorter version, an abbreviated and abridged version of what Obama said a very long time ago. You have to get more people on the side of the people who want to do the left thing, or I guess to make it more beat over there, who want to do things that don't serve a corporate overlord and master, than you do anybody else. And you have to keep doing it on the state, federal, Senate, congressional, even down to the alderman level, because that's the only way you can make sure not only you do it, but it lasts. Here's the problem with that. If there are 5 people in the entirety of the United States of America's government system who want to do the right thing, they're not self-serving. Basically, we got 5 Bernie Sanders walking around. And then everyone else is Trump or Elon. How effective is that Bernie going to really be? And that's when I realized we're not screwed, but if you don't have wealth or you can't leave, you don't have a guarantee that what you've accrued over your life or what you do in your life is going to last or even will carry over into the next generation. Let's not forget, redlining was made illegal at least 60 years ago. Redlining is going to be affecting minorities such as ourselves for the next 200 to 300.
yeah. I mean, there are ways to stop it, but
yeah, but do you have enough people who even want to or who even care? Because a lot of people, and I hate to say it, it's a stereotype, but I guess you and me may be aware of it, but for the audience who don't know. So the myth of the model minority, as we all heard, is something that has been habitually applied to Asians, more specifically Asians that are not of dark skin, basically everybody except the Indians, the actual Indians. So they believe, and I don't mean everyone who's alive living, there was a point in time where a vast majority of Asian descent, first generation, or literally didn't want to be here, generations of Asians believe they would be in the clear or they will be absolved from any type of attachment to minority based issues as long as they conform to what they were told to do by their quote unquote the majority in this country. And unfortunately, that mindset still hasn't fully left East and Far East born individuals. And some don't know about it. Some don't care about it. And others are acutely aware of it and they think it's disgusting, disturbing, but they don't know how to fight it. So that's been, so people, minorities being inherently selfish and building their legacies off of the bloods of Africans who fought for everybody. Because last I checked, there was never a civil right that said we Africans exclusively want to get same treatment. It was we as human beings want to get same and fair treatment. And then followed by, like I said, not even really backstabbing, occasional backstabbing, but mostly turning around and not giving a shit when something happens to somebody else. And I know it sounds like the oldest stereotype, but drinking the Kool-Aid, the GOP Kool-Aid. So you can't fix something like that overnight. That takes years of education, or that takes ground roots, empathy, and people connecting with one another. But you can't tell that to somebody who didn't realize or didn't care that you weren't even a citizen until the 50s. You were not considered a citizen if you were Asian until the 50s, which means that most people who are Asian are either as old or older than that law in this country. You can't tell that person who's got a lot of money from making a business it's wrong when you don't understand the effects of redlining. It's wrong. We don't seem to realize the reason you can't put your Chinese food conglomerate or your personal restaurant that's under 2 stars in a section of a state where the hyper elite live is because they will literally pay to kick you out or keep you out. You can't tell them nothing when they quote unquote have seen growth and wealth. And even then, I hate to say it, I respect anyone who can come from a different country, especially if they weren't supposed to be here as long as they are, and build up wealth and grow. You can't teach them nothing when the first thing they did was backstab everybody beneath them. Because the first thing they're going to hear is, well, if I help you, I lose something. no, you don't lose anything. Why can't we just win together? But in that same breath, I'll be the first to tell you, I live in Chicago. I live in a city of millions, literal millions. Ain't too many of those, despite what most people think. And because of that, and because of it being a popular tourist destination internationally, I have been able to meet some of the most nice and polite people who are just curious about the culture, or they are interested in foreign countries and foreign individuals and ethnicities, and their child is from here. And I've had a good time. They have taught me recipes, and I've enjoyed my time with them. And in some cases, I even got to know their parents in the old age, and I was on the short list to be invited to the funeral. But I know that that's not the vast majority. That is just me getting very fortunate to have met some of the most noble and nicest Chinese people I've ever met in my life, some of the most noble and nicest second generation, or in sometimes first generation South Koreans I've ever met, and in one case North Korean. So man, that guy, he eats his food fast, like to the point where it's a little bit disturbing, but if you knew his background, you would understand. Literally any form of meat was a delicacy, considered a delicacy. I mean, like what we put on a Burger King hamburger, that stuff we disregard, don't think about a third time. Yeah, for him, that meant that you were considered someone who may have wealth or access to wealth if you were eating that on a daily basis. So I understand it, but that's what also bothers me, because there's so many addictive things and conveniences relating to selfishness, backstabbing, selling out, than there are doing the right thing. And unfortunately, that's how I view this country. People will say they want the right thing until when it starts inconveniencing them. Then that's when you figure out who somebody really is.
Yeah. No, I think I have to agree with that. Yeah. It's like a true color has come out. Yeah. No, I that was pretty well said too. Yeah, I think traveling may help that. So ignorance kind of breeds all this that you're talking about. Like you said, you got to know people on a personal level, but I don't know if we just traveled more in general as
Yeah,
Americans.
bro, they
Yeah,
already said that America is
ignorance
one of the
is
only countries where they said that in the countries of, supposedly first world, but even we know that's not an accurate term. First world individuals where not even or close to 50% of people do not own or have any form of the passport. And we're one of the only places that do a
yeah,
two-tier passport system. They don't even have the card, which is way easier to get. So quite literally,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
hard to teach people to care when they can't look past their front lawn.
Yeah, but to defend that, America is huge. You can travel a lot of America, and it can be expensive to travel. To defend those points a little bit, there's a whole lot that goes on over here within our own culture. So I'm to defend that, but I'm not saying we should. I agree we should travel, and ignorance
Yeah,
breeds
that's what
all
I'm
of it.
saying. Like,
Yeah,
we don't get a choice in it. Like, you're either born into a system where you got lucky, or you're born into a system where you were surrounded by ignorance, and some
yeah,
key event triggers you changing, or you're just fucked. And the worst part is that they're all comfortable with it because they don't think they're the bad guy. Everyone thinks they're the hero in
yeah,
their own story, except for me.
yeah. Well, speaking of hatred, honestly, I have another question for you.
Okay.
Would you rather
Hmm.
genuinely hate all black people,
I remember this one.
or have to slap a child when you see one as hard as you can? Child,
Slapping a
by the way,
child,
oh, you,
no question about it.
you said that pretty quick.
And I'm gonna
Child,
tell you why. Because I can
three to
close my eyes.
that's 3 to 8 years old is what we're clarifying as a
Yeah,
kid.
I know.
Child. Okay,
Yeah, yeah. Basically a
yeah,
toddler.
yeah, pretty much.
I see 8-year-olds as high functioning toddlers. I don't care what nobody say.
Oh my
Um,
god,
but yeah,
as
I'm gonna
hard
slap
as
a
you
child.
can, as hard as you
Yes,
can. There's
and
no
I'm gonna
hold
tell you
back.
why. I know,
Okay,
I know, but
okay,
here's I'm gonna
okay,
tell you why. Because if
okay.
I think there's a child around, or if I know there's gonna be a child around, I can put duct tape over my eyes and pull down my hood. I don't have to see the child.
What? Wait, so you're saying if you're going out into public and you know there's a possibility of you seeing a
Yes,
kid, you're gonna blind
huh?
yourself?
Yes,
Okay.
no questions asked.
Okay, that's kind of smart. So, like, someone's gonna lead you around like a blind man or something like that. Like, if you walk into the Burger King, for example, and like you have a friend with you, kind of going, "What's on the menu?" Like, is there a kid in
Yeah,
here? No, there's no
hey,
kid around. You can take it off. It's safe.
yeah.
Okay.
And also,
So
it's 2025. You can look up on the internet
you're
most things you would want to know before you get to the places.
so you just if we go to a public event, what if you go? I don't know anywhere. You're just gonna
No.
have a blind helmet?
I would watch the public event, or I would pay someone to secretly record it if it's that serious to me.
You're not gonna
Or
leave your house.
no, I'm gonna leave my house. Don't get me wrong, because depending on the time of day, ain't really gonna be no kids around, especially if you got a night shift job, which means you're doing shit in the day and they're all in school.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay.
Now, if we talking about my fellow Negro brethren, let me tell you first and foremost, there is this little thing that we have. Well, we call them traders, but when I was growing up, and still to this day, over where I'm at in Chicago, we call them black stabbers. Not back, black stabbers.
I haven't heard that one. I
I know.
was gonna say Uncle Tom or something, but you said
No, that's too easy. That's too easy. See, with black stabber, there's a theme to it. It's easy way to bully them into leaving you alone. Because don't get me wrong, I do not condone continuous habitual harassment over somebody for no reason other than your own personal gain or in the enjoyment of their suffering. However, wanting someone to get the fuck away from you is a place that we've all lived in at some point in times of our life. And if all I have to do is go, they smiling in your face all the time, they want to take your place, them black stabbers, baby, black stabbers. And then other people call you black stabbers, and it gets you to leave me the fuck alone. I'm okay with that, because there's a difference between going after you and seeking to hurt you and wanting you to get the fuck away from me. So I don't want an army of people doing that to me, or just saying, wait a minute, I know that guy. Yeah, he likes Kanye and Candace Owens. There are 7 of us. Beat his ass. I ain't trying to do that when I'm trying to go grocery shop or to Walgreens or to the dentist, because at some point in time, the dentist ain't gonna be able to put my teeth back in. Okay. So as far as I'm concerned, I would rather deal with partially blinding myself in certain public events than worrying about ending up on the 5 o'clock news.
Okay.
Everybody wins.
I love the logic. I love it. But you could be one of those silent haters. You could just be one of them.
There's no such thing. There's no such thing. And when it comes to hating niggas, there is no such thing as a silent hater. You either quiet in public because you get your ass beat and you talk shit online, or you wait till you're around your quote unquote friends who claim that they don't like racists, but they won't call you out for doing or saying anything racist, and then you just unload. There's no such thing as a quiet person who hates black people.
You're right. If you're hating, there's an outlet somewhere. You're right. But
I'm a fucking Creole. I've never denied it. I literally had a grown-ass racist spend 5 minutes trying to figure out if he should hate me, not realizing I was leading him behind a certain grocery store that didn't have cameras in the back, but we're not going to get into that. He had to literally systematically try to figure out if he could hate me. Like, I had to teach him what a Creole was. I'm like, bro, this is a giant waste of my time, but at least I get a reward at the end.
That's so stupid, man.
Yes, he followed me to do this, bro. I didn't go looking for him.
That's stupid, man.
Yes.
Oh, man. Okay. Because I'm looking at time, I got like 2 more things.
Go ahead.
Okay. So we'll leave the hate train for a second. This one is a word association thing, right? So your first thoughts, I will name an anime, and you give me like a fast food business, like a McDonald's, a Burger King, what have you, that you feel matches the best. All right. Are you ready? I'm just going to start naming animes.
Okay. If I don't know what they are, I can't give you an answer.
Okay. I'm going to name pretty basic ones.
Okay.
All right. Cool. Here we go. First one, Dragon Ball Z.
No, that one's easy. Jimmy John's.
Okay. One Piece.
Fucking hate One Piece. I'm going to give you Jack in the Box because I hate Jack in the Box.
Okay. A lot of people like Jack in the Box and a lot of people like One Piece.
I know.
Naruto.
Well, that's one a little bit more fucked up, but we gonna just go with Panda Express.
Okay. Bleach.
Ooh, I like that. They get the Chipotle.
My Hero Academia.
Yes, the most nothing burger of nothing burgers. The plainest show that people think is the shit just because it's animated well and they don't know how common this shit is. They get the McDonald's. I'm never going there and everything tastes like air to me. Unless it's a McFlurry.
Oh, man. Attack on Titan.
White Castles.
Demon Slayer.
I have mixed feelings about that one, but I'll just give them one I have mixed feelings about. Chick-fil-A, because I don't respect their business whatsoever, so they might as well get Chick-fil-A.
Hunter x Hunter.
Okay. I hate to say it, but I don't even know if they exist anymore. Well, they technically do, but they're really shitty now because of corporate greed. Boston Market.
Oh, I've only been there once, and that was all right.
No, and the food isn't bad. It's just they are literally made to make another person who used to work for Boston Market suffer. They only exist so he can see how shitty his own shit has become. It's not fair to him. It's fucked up.
Dang, got it. Oh, shoot, I had one in my head and now it's gone. Sword Art Online.
Ew, that's shit. What's more generic than Sword Art Online? Hmm, that one's tough because I already use McDonald's. You know what? We gonna give them Burger King. Sometimes it hit just right. Everybody loves the fries, but half the stuff people really love is limited edition, and half the cool stuff in SAO was limited edition.
Do you know Neon Genesis
Dunkin'
Ilia?
Donuts.
Got it. Last one, Pokemon.
Well, Pokemon is the very addictive substance, so we're going to give this one a little unique one. Pokemon will get Arby's, but specifically the dumpster behind the Arby's where the crack dealer is, because as we all know, Pokemon is basically crack.
What a
Arby's,
slap!
we have the meats.
That's a slap.
Pokemon, gotta catch them all.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Hey, it
No.
fits.
Yeah, I guess so. It's not really a slap because you're also crack. You can't be cocaine.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I love me some Arby's. They have one of the more unique limited edition menus depending on the season. But also, even if I did hate Arby's, put some crack on that. I'm pretty sure somebody gonna like it.
All right. Well, speaking of crack cocaine, I want to end this on a high note.
Okay,
Would you rather be?
that's a pretty good pun.
Would you rather be Batman or Spider-Man?
Oh, I'm about to say, didn't you say that? Okay, well, unfortunately, even though I love him more, I have to choose Batman.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Okay. Okay. Why so?
Because Spider-Man is perpetually broke and he's perpetually losing the dime pieces that he gets because the writers have to write suffering into his life. Marvel has openly acknowledged it. It is not a secret. And I would rather be the guy who gets his ass beat with a couple $1 billion than the guy who gets his ass beat and he has to deal with a baby mama having no money and also a girl who's a legitimate criminal who also want to smash him every 5 seconds on top of all the earthly and worldly and superhuman threats he has to deal with while still trying to have a day job to pay for said apartment, 2-bedroom apartment that he can barely afford in New York City, Manhattan.
Let's say you just either you get the money or you get the powers. Let's say you don't have to like live the life. Which one are you taking? Like you either get the Batman
No,
abilities and
bro,
money
money,
or
bro.
the Superman, sorry, Spider-Man abilities. You're still taking the
I'm telling
money.
you, I don't have a
Okay.
choice because first off, if I have the powers, I could just end up in the same situation as him.
You could be smarter about it. You can first off move out of New York. You can second, you don't have to go into crime fighting. You could just like I don't know, be a
Yeah,
basketball player or something.
you're right.
And
And
then
guess what? The
third,
minute
yeah,
they do that drug test, what's going to happen? I'm fucked. I'm getting sued and I got to get my money back and I'm disgraced. Unless I'm doing a manual labor job and no one cares that I'm superhuman, ain't shit I can do.
they
I'd
don't.
rather have the money.
I don't think they test for superhumanness. They test for drugs. You should be okay. I think you got.
Yes, but here's the thing. I'd rather have the money installed than have to build it up.
Mhm.
Remember, Bruce is third and sometimes second generation wealthy. Okay. That shit ain't going nowhere.
That's true. Dang. I mean, but wouldn't it be cool to be like athletic and
Bro, I'm totally agreeing with you. What I said, unfortunately, I side
yeah.
with Batman.
Okay. Unfortunately, you side with Batman.
Yeah.
The cards are all in your hands though. You're picking the bat.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
picking what's more convenient. What do we talk about convenience? Already having the billion or having to build up as some star employee, then I get sponsorship deals and advertisements and I sell out and I sell products from assholes who don't want to help humans. Or I can literally be the lifeblood of a city, fix things up at my discretion
I got you.
from a mansion.
So you're saying if you did have Batman's money and physical whatever, you would just be a Bruce Wayne. You wouldn't be Batman. You'd be a Bruce Wayne.
Well, no, because Bruce Wayne of persona is the playboy pimp bullshit, basically Tony Stark.
Oh,
No,
true.
I'm actually going to get things fixed and I'm not going to waste time with political red tape because I'm going to own a construction company. And if I see a street is fucked up, I got my minions. Hey, this street's fucked up. Go do the paperwork so I can give my company the contract. I'll go fix it my damn self.
Wilson Fisk type, but
Well,
Batman.
yeah, that's better. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I got you. So
Man, I love
you wouldn't even,
Daredevil.
yeah, that's a great show. You wouldn't even dress up though. You're not gonna go out there and kick homeless people. You're not gonna do
I
it.
am going to go. I'm going to spend every waking moment, unless I feel like it, dressed in a goddamn Hugh Hefner robe. But I'm gonna have me on some comfortable cargo pants, and if I need to go outside, I'm grabbing some socks and some boots, and I'm tying up that robe so people don't know I'm not wearing a shirt. And if I really got to go somewhere inconvenient or it's cold, cause Chicago, I'm gonna get in some regular ass clothes that I didn't even put myself in. I paid someone to put me in, and I'm gonna go to that place and I'm gonna mind my own damn business, and I'm gonna do what I came to do, hang with the boys, chill with the girls, do whatever, and then I'm gonna go home and do the same thing tomorrow.
All right, I feel you, man. Make sure you don't see any kids along the way. I think we're gonna end it there. Everyone, thank you for listening to this episode with 1,000 Crazy Questions. I appreciate you guys rating, following, subscribing, all that good stuff. Zach, I want to have the spotlight over to you. Is there anything you want to say or plug to listeners in general?
Okay, so I have a unique situation when in regards to search engine optimization. It's easier to find me by my alias and name than it is to find me by Token Podcast, because apparently there is a Brazilian crew who does not speak English, but their title and name of their show is Token Games Podcast, also spelled in English. And I've been trying to talk with them about, can we figure something out? So if you really want to find me, the easiest ways to do it is to type in Token without the games podcast and look for a picture of a brain x-ray scan. Yes, when I said I want to get into people's head, I started with mine. If you look up that Token Podcast logo, that is literally a scan of my brain.
Is that what that is?
Yep, that is
I
a
mean,
scan of my
I
brain.
know what it is, but I was like, it's yours. It's actually
Yes,
your.
it's literally my brain. You can see
Oh,
my wrinkles. Yes, yes.
I
So
didn't know.
I know it, and that's why I tell people. Also, if you want to look for me more intimately, via Zax Pearson, as in zebra, A as in apple, X as an X-ray, and Pearson is the PEAR format. I'm sure he'll have it somewhere in the description. And I'll give our nice host here, Mr. Pierce, I will give him a link to the YouTube as well as the Spotify. But make no mistake, if it's an audio streaming platform, you can find the podcast. However, the bulk of episodes are on the YouTube channel because some things require visual information.
Nice. Well plugged, well put. Awesome. Everyone, thank you again for listening to this episode. Let me know by comments, by email, by Instagram, what questions you'd like to add to the show. And yeah, please rate the podcast. It helps a lot. Instagram is 1000 Crazy Questions. That's where you can find me. And yeah, everyone, share this with your friends. Share this with your enemies. Everyone stay safe. Bye.
Have a good one.